Hello and welcome to SpyHards Podcast. I'm Agent Scott.
And I'm Cam the Provocateur. And Scott, is fresh cod in season?
No.
Oh, well, I'll take my business elsewhere. Thank you very much.
Good day, sir. And good day to you all. Good day to you all. Thank you for joining us here on SpyHards. We've got an interesting film to talk about this week. Shining Through.
Mm-hmm.
Little 1990s magic, maybe?
You know, a little bit of a SpyHards special where it's a 1990s film that people don't remember.
Yeah, and that's our specialty. That's the real SpyHards special. You know, I typed something into ChatGPT the other day, trying to come up with like a sort of a catchy tagline for SpyHards Podcast. You want to know what it came up with?
I fear to know.
Here we go. SpyHards Podcast is the world's leading podcast focused exclusively on spy movies and television, less on the television. Hosted by Scott and Cam, the show provides weekly deep dives into espionage cinema, from beloved blockbusters to forgotten cult classics, alongside interviews with authors, filmmakers, and the creators behind the genre's most iconic works.
That is the most generic thing I've ever heard written out.
But it did get the one thing right. Forgotten cult classics. Is Shining Through a forgotten cult classic?
Well, we're going to find out in the conversation ahead.
But speaking of cult classics, we have another episode coming out this week with a connection to Shining Through, with a man who is tethered to several cult classics. Cam, who are we talking to?
We are talking to actor Wolf Kaler, who you will probably remember for his work in Raiders of the Lost Ark, but plays a Nazi officer in this week's film, Shining Through, as well as appears in all sorts of other spy films. We mentioned him when we tackled Firefox, or the 1988 Bourne Identity TV movie, and he has even more to discuss. And he's going to go over the course of his entire career, and we're going to talk about each and every spy film he has been a part of, as well as a few other gems along the way.
Yeah, so look forward to that in your podcast feeds later this week. But let's get to it. Let's shine a light on Shining Through. Okay, folks, we are traveling back to the times of World War II this week. And Cam, I'm a little scared.
Okay.
I'm scared for a multitude of reasons. Partially the environment we find ourselves in, and partially the legacy of this film. And so I thought we needed an extra pair of hands to make us feel safe. Because I'm sure you're frightened too. Or maybe you're not. But to help us guide us through this unique journey, this unique film. She has been a follower of our show, supporting us almost since day naught, and she has her own podcast. It's Becca from the Do You Expect Us to Talk podcast. Hello, Becca. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. Living the dream. The dream is shining through.
Hopefully we will be as well by the end of this podcast.
It's blinding me.
My eyes, they burn.
Is that your review?
No. I'm not giving anything away.
Okay. Well, you know, Becca, before we get to the film, I mentioned the show, but I mean, I think it's your first proper time on SpyHards. You sent us a couple of voicemails we've played over the years that are sort of year-end episodes and things like that. But take us back for you. You're obviously a lover of spy movies. We've seen some together. Where does your love of spy movies come from?
Oh gosh, there's a question. Well, I have to be Bond, of course. Obviously, my podcast is Do You Expect Us to Talk? We are huge Bond fans, of which I am one of many. Yes, it probably comes from there, really. And so, yeah, after discovering all the Bond movies, it's probably only natural that you kind of veer off and discover, you know, other sort of spy movies of like the 60s, Euro spy genre, just how it's carried on, really. So
you'd think they did.
Well, no, clearly not.
Some people just like to live in those 25 films and they never leave.
I'll just live in there, definitely. But then obviously you go back and discover things like Secret Agent or 39 Steps, or you know, other sort of classic movies which may have spy elements to them. Also, big blockbuster movies like Mission Impossible obviously come from the TV series. Our Man Flint, you know, other parody, Austin Powers, things like that, for example, anything that's vaguely spy related. But for me, it probably came out of the Bond films, and then from there I discovered other spy movies and films of, you know, espionage and that sort of thing. So,
well, that sets me up for a question, though. You say James Bond drew you in. Do you remember which James Bond film it was that you saw first?
So sharing my age, the first at the cinema was probably Tomorrow Never Dies. But the first film I saw, obviously here in the UK, they're typically shown on rainy bank holidays. It was either The Spy Who Loved Me or I want to say View to a Kill, perhaps as well. So it's either of those sort of late era Roger Moore films.
Big difference.
Big
difference
shown.
Between those two.
They are very different films. Very different, two very different decades.
One of it's a very fresh quiche, the other one's a very aged quiche.
Mouldy quiche.
He's had some work done on that quiche.
He's had a mole removed on that quiche.
Yes.
Or is it an omelette? No, it was something that was very late Roger Moore kind of era. But yeah, kind of the first Bond film at the cinema, because I was a little bit too young when GoldenEye came out, was Tomorrow Never Dies. So I'll always view that one through rose-tinted spyglass spectacles.
I love that you say that you're showing your age. I think you might be the youngest person in the room.
I was going to say, I'm like, oh, yeah, Tomorrow Never Dies, yeah.
If anything, you're showing our age.
Well, I recently hit a big age milestone, so I'll take that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Mine was the Barry Nelson TV special on Climax.
And you did.
I did.
We all did. Well, hey.
And have ever since.
Yeah, we wish you'd stop, really. It's really interfering with our podcast schedule.
I apologize.
It's quite messy, you know.
You keep shining through. It's too much to handle. Well, yeah, it's an interesting thing because you mentioned all these sort of classic films, a lot of Hitchcock in there, and I know on your show you're doing sort of a Hitchcock series at the moment. So there's things outside your show that outside of James Bond, and that's sort of it's interesting because your show is talking about all these sort of quite good films, and then you come on our humble little show, and we're talking about this film that people may have forgotten about.
Well, we've covered our fair share of iffy films as well, or films that people have forgotten or maybe didn't even hear about. So, I must confess, I perhaps maybe wasn't aware of this one as maybe I should have been. So yeah, looking forward to delving into it for sure.
Well, what's the most obscure film you've tackled on Do You Expect Us to Talk?
Oh dear. I don't know. We've been going about 10 years, so I might have to go back through our catalogue and find out. I don't actually know.
I might just scroll through it now actually whilst we're having a look.
Yeah, I might just scrub through and see, because we tend to tackle, like, obviously we started off with all the Bond movies, and we've branched out to do kind of other, mainly films that are in a series or there's some thread running through them. So we've done kind of like Star Wars, Star Trek, Batman, Superman, Indiana Jones, Rocky, different films that are generally in a franchise. We've done kind of director. So obviously we've done Tarantino,
Right.
and now it's my kind of baby. We're doing a sort of Hitchcock series at the moment. But yeah, I don't know what the most obscure film would be.
I mean, you're tackling all of the Hitchcock films. You've got like The Lodger and Downhill in there, which are things people don't talk about.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably maybe Downhill. That's a really early Hitchcock one.
That's very early. That's really obscure Hitchcock.
Yeah, that's
too,
quite obscure. But otherwise, we've done like really big, well-known series. And even when we kind of go off-piste and do, like, we've done some fundraisers, for example, in the past, but they've been films that everyone's known about. So, like, when we do or a Christmas commentary, for example, it's been things that people know about, like Groundhog Day or Muppets Christmas Carol, something that's quite well known.
Yeah. We did that on the Patreon.
Yep, we did. Yep, definitely. Maybe
You did all of the Planet of the Apes films from the 60s and stuff? All of them?
all the Apes movies, yep. The Batman movie from the 60s, I don't know how obscure that is.
Yes, I mean, so you've got it. So what I'm saying, I suppose I'm setting it up as a guidance into the film, is much as you may talk about Bond and Hitchcock, you have actually like dipped your toes into a bunch of weird oddities too, which I think might help you with this review.
I think it will. It's certainly an oddity.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Cam, why don't you shine a light on it?
We are going to run out of puns real fast on this one, I can tell.
Watch me fly.
We are tackling 1992's Shining Through, starring Michael Douglas and Melanie Griffith.
Boy, did it.
I mean, it's a film. It is a film
And
for
how,
sure
and
that,
how.
it's one that when I added to the master list, stood out to me because of the star power behind it.
Yeah, great names.
Yeah, huge names. And at points in their careers where, like, this was them near the top of their peak. And so, like, I do remember just vaguely commercials, I think, for this movie when I was a kid, but it's one that is kind of vanished. And so when I added it to the master list, I was actually really excited to do it because it was like, oh, like, this is a kind of big Hollywood film.
Yeah, and I'd never heard of it, so like that sort of question about have we seen it before? It sounds like, Becca, this was a new one to you, certainly a new one to me. But Cam, did you have any history with it?
Just honestly seeing commercials, I think, as a kid. I remember kind of that ominous commercial voice saying, like, shining through, that kind of
In
thing.
a world where there's Nazis.
Yeah, like, and I was like a kid who was watching endless TV at the age of like 10 and 11, so it would have been completely believable for me to be seeing commercials for this movie the same way like I have memories of the movie Consenting Adults with Kevin Kline, a movie no one really remembers anymore, but I remember commercials popping up in afternoon TV.
Consenting Adults. That's a really boring title for a film.
It came out of that whole post Basic Instinct, Fatal Attraction kind of erotic thriller period.
Yeah, but like, think of those two titles, Basic Instinct and stuff like that. Like, Consenting Adults is not quite as titillating as Basic Instinct.
Well, you've got to say it more like Consenting Adults.
No, you don't.
It's how you say it. You've got to say it in a really sexy way.
Well, if any of us can muster it, then we'll try, but I don't think we have it in us. So let's talk about this film and let's introduce it, because if it's a forgotten interest from the 90s, I love finding a film no one's talked about in a while. So here is your synopsis. Shining Through. Oh, wow, this is really long.
Deep breath, deep breath.
It's funny,
Okay.
Scott, you say that. I was actually going to read the synopsis of the book that it was based on, and the synopsis on Wikipedia was like incredibly long, and I was like, quick skim.
Okay, well, here it is. He needed... Should I do it in a trailer voice?
Yeah, go on.
Go for it.
He needed to trust her with his secret. She had to trust him with her life. That's pretty good.
Did she? Did she have to trust him with her life?
A little bit.
A little bit, but at a certain point,
She's
she kind of goes
rescued at the end.
Yeah, that's true. But she's
Spoilers.
off the grid for a long period of time, and he's not having any idea where she is.
Stop victim blaming, Cam.
Anyways.
Spirited New Yorker Linda Voss goes to work for international lawyer and Secret Office of Strategic Services operative Ed Leland just before World War II. I said that very happily. Ed Leland!
It also wasn't just before World War II. I guess it's before America enters World War II.
I guess by their standards, that's when it started.
I suppose so. Sorry, British.
Yeah, we're always the last to know.
A little late to the table.
Apparently. As they fall in love, the United States enters the fight against Hitler, and Linda volunteers to work for Ed, spying undercover behind Nazi lines. Assigned to uncover information about a German bomb, Linda also has personal motives to fulfill, discovering the fate of her Jewish family members in Berlin.
I had a question for you, Scott. That whole plot to discover the production facilities of these pilotless weapons, was that the same plot as Operation Crossbow?
Yes.
It was those rockets. Okay.
Because Potsdam is also in that as well, even though that's not where the rockets are, I think. But they basically, because they find the factory where it's being made and blow it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the V1 and V2 rockets, isn't it? So.
Yeah, because the V2 are the ones that have the launching platform, and then they fly themselves, right? That was how that worked. No, V1s were the ones that flew off the platform. V2s were rockets that went up and then flew. That was the difference.
Yep.
Okay.
They're both unmanned, though, I think.
Okay, and in both films, the facilities are blown up.
Well, maybe we'll come back to which one did it better at the end of the film.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, I've done my shining a light pun already, and we need to do the behind the scenes. So, Cam, can you help us get through this?
Yeah. As I said, this was based on a book by Susan Isaacs, actually, who was an American novelist, essayist, and screenwriter. She'd written a couple films. Probably not the most remembered, but the Susan Sarandon film Compromising Positions and the Shelley Long film Hello Again.
Is that another one of those Basic Instinct films?
No, neither one of them. No, they were like comedies.
Oh, okay.
But so she had her book released in 1988, and the rights to this were snapped up almost immediately by Dolly Parton's company, Sand Dollar Productions.
Oh, I thought I noticed that in the intro.
Yeah, yeah. And so initially, like, they wanted to get this rolling fairly quickly. It obviously took 4 years to hit the screen. And Susan Isaacs was actually approached about writing the screenplay because she had written films before, but said no. I think it was probably just the material was too close and she couldn't quite maybe wrap her head around condensing it, because they actually did have to condense the novel a lot. I think they cut off like significant chunks of the book. And even like the book was more about...
Yeah, the bit where Britain are in the war without the United States apparently is completely cut out.
Well, that too, but like they had to basically, they did change the focus because the book was about them exposing D-Day landings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So they made it like the timeline earlier.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. They may have like condensed the timeline. I'm not exactly sure. As I said, that Wikipedia synopsis was like War and Peace, and I said no, thank you.
Too big.
Yes, way too big.
Whenever you say war and peace with your accent, Cam, it always sounds like you're saying War and Peace, as if it is a person.
It is Mr. War and Peace.
Mr. War and Peace.
I was comparing it to Mr. War and Peace. Yes.
Sorry, that's Sir War and Peace to you.
That's right. One of our greatest countrymen here in Canada.
Oh, say, can you see? Oh, wait, that's America. Whoops.
When he pulls up a stool, we sit around and listen to his stories.
He talks for hours.
So overseeing this movie was triple hyphenate David Seltzer, who's a writer, director, producer, and born in Illinois, and started out on the production staff on the 1960s star-studded game show I've Got a Secret, where they would bring on movie stars and people had to guess their secret. Betty Davis, for example, appeared on the show at one point.
What's your secret, Cam?
That I know War and Peace, but that secret's out now.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, sorry. And he moved from that show into doing some directing for National Geographic in 1965, and then wrote the TV movie The World of Animals. It's a dog's world, which must have done well because he then followed it up with The World of Animals, The World of Horses, which we'll be covering on Horse Hards.
Horse Hearts is back. I haven't heard that in years.
That's
Yay!
right.
Or I should say, nay.
His first major film, though, was the 1971 science fiction documentary The Hellstrom Chronicle, which actually won Best Documentary at the Oscars that year, and was sort of like a blend of kind of like science fiction filmmaking techniques with like a documentary. Sounds like it was a little experimental. I haven't seen it. Sounds interesting. But from that point, he goes into things that are a little more mainstream. He did some writing on the film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and then worked on the hit 1975 romance The Other Side of the Mountain, and more notably 1976's The Omen, which obviously was a huge smash and probably got him a lot of residuals for all the sequels.
Of course, yeah, that's a lifelong meal ticket right there.
Yeah, you get the characters created by in every film.
Oh. I wonder if he has a house that's created by.
Created by The Omen.
Probably, right?
Yeah, would you call it like The Omen?
Or the Damien?
Or the Damien? Yeah, I guess. Or Damien.
Does he live at number 666?
Oh, that's a good call. Or do you just call it like Damien's house?
Yeah, Damien's house, yeah.
Or maybe like if he has a garage, just like Damien's Den.
I did wonder where that name sounded familiar, actually. I was like, where do I know that name from? Sadly not from The World of Animals, but yeah, from The Omen. So I had obviously that's a classic. I had high hopes for it, and then
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's great. I hope it worked out okay when they were shipping in the huge panes of glass to build that house. So
oh gosh.
Ooh.
Is that like a reference to the film I haven't seen?
That's right, Scott. So you just be quiet there in your corner.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Can you explain the joke for the idiots?
Well, I didn't feel so bad. I only saw Jaws until like the last 3 or 4 years. Until then, I got to a certain point, and I got to the point where I think there's that famous dolly zoom, and that really freaked me out, and I couldn't get past that point. And then I thought, right, it's the anniversary. This is about 5 years ago. It's anniversary. I'm going to be brave. And then saw it 3 times on the trot and it was amazing. But yeah, it's one of those really big movies that you kind of, you're ashamed to admit you haven't seen, but you got to see. Hopefully, maybe track it down around Halloween time, scary season.
I'm just not a scary film guy. Like I just avoid them like the plague. But I'm glad you watched Jaws because it's Cam's favorite film, so he's very happy to hear that.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, it's great. Definitely. Hopefully, on our podcast, we will do the Jaws movies at some point. When maybe in between when we've done a long series, when we do a short series. So yeah, they're on our list to do. Because I've obviously seen the first one.
Cam will be lobbying for Jaws 3D, I'm sure.
2 or 3. I would happily do 2 or 3.
Okay, well, hopefully we can get you guys on to do another one with us at some point. So when we get our butts in gear and start up again. So
that would be amazing. And I will note to Scott that next year marks the 50th anniversary of The Omen. So who knows what we can make happen over on the Patreon.
Yes, let's do it. It'll be Omen Hards? No, I don't know.
Damien Hards, look, sign up for the Patreon now, and you might get an episode on The Omen next Halloween.
Sounds good.
Right.
Let's do it.
Yeah, just get in early, just in case you miss it, right? That's the idea.
Do it now.
So those are sort of David Seltzer's writing credits, those kind of big films. But as a director, his big breakthrough was 1986's Lucas, which was a coming-of-age drama with Corey Haim that was like a real kind of sleeper hit. And he wrote and directed that film. And then shining through was his follow-up as a director to the 1988 film Punchline, which was a drama, sort of comedy drama with Tom Hanks and Sally Field about the world of stand-up comedy. I think kind of a forgotten film for both those actors now. And as a writer, it was his follow-up to the 1990 action film Bird on a Wire with Mel and Goldie.
Is that another person?
Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn. Only first names are necessary.
Warren Peace and Melon Goldie. That's your leads of shining through, everyone.
This fake movie that we're making, that sounds hilarious.
So originally, Deborah Winger was supposed to be the star of this movie, and for whatever reason, just fell out of the project. They were looking at some other people like Meg Ryan and Michelle Pfeiffer, both of whom turned it down. I'm wondering if Michelle Pfeiffer actually chose Batman Returns over this.
I was going to say, yeah, she was doing Batman Returns around that sort of time. So, yeah, maybe she had the option of the two and decided to go Meow instead.
Yeah.
I've got to practice my my whip.
Yeah. I don't remember what Meg Ryan was doing in 92, but...
I'll find out.
Yeah, you look that up, Scott, but obviously they chose other projects. And Melanie Griffith was sort of in a kind of a tough point in her career. It was kind of a pivotal moment because she'd had Working Girl in 88, which was a huge breakthrough as a leading actress on the screen. But in 1990, she had done the movie The Bonfire of the Vanities, which was like a legendary disaster for the studio. Books have been written about the production of that film. There was a whole podcast series on Turner Classic Movies a couple years ago about the production of that film. And so, like, her kind of position as a bankable leading lady was sort of on the line. And so she signed on to this film. We'll get to whether that worked out for her in a second, but it was kind of like very different than Michael Douglas, who was coming off like a whole streak of hits. He had been in like Fatal Attraction, Wall Street, Black Rain, and War of the Roses. So definitely a kind of difference in how both actors are coming into this film.
Just to answer the Meg Ryan question, she only did one film in 1992, which was Prelude to a Kiss with Alec Baldwin.
Oh, which I think did quite well. There you go.
Yeah, it's probably a bit more successful.
I've never heard of it, but that doesn't mean it wasn't successful.
I remember the commercials.
That seems to be all you remember.
I mean, that time period, I'm 11 years old, so the TV's just on, and I'm seeing all these commercials for all these movies I've never seen.
You're skipping the actual shows. You're just trying to find commercials everywhere. Like,
that's right.
Where's that trailer voice guy? I've got to find him again.
He's hoovering up all the adverts, going in a world where.
In a world.
So, Melanie Griffith did sign on, but Michael Douglas was actually kind of hesitant about doing it. $6 million changed his mind.
Ah, yes, the Amazon approach.
Yes. And, this movie obviously didn't get the best of receptions, but he had Basic Instinct the same year. So for like Michael Douglas, I'm sure if you ask him about this point in time, this movie was kind of a blip for him.
I think people will remember the other film.
Yeah. This film was shot in Berlin as it was being reunified, actually. And it was actually the first major motion picture to freely utilize East German locations since the end of the Cold War.
Oh, okay. We've had a lot of films that shot in the dying days of the Cold War, but not one that shot just afterwards. That's interesting. That's actually a cool calling card to the film.
I think it was something like 2 days into production that they were like able to shoot. Like the reunification was going on.
You think of Nicholas Meyer, who we had on recently and spoke about Company Business, came out, I think, the same
year before.
a year before this, was it? Year before. And like they were like chasing the news as everything changed every week.
And this actually, I think, was shot around similar times as Star Trek 6 and Company Business, because it was actually on the shelf for about a year.
Oh, okay, fine. Then yeah, that does add up.
Yeah. And so the budget for this movie was $30 million, and it was released on January 31st, 1992. It was pushed from November. It had actually been shot, but it sat for a while, and then they were going to release it in November, kind of that end of the year period in 1991, where you would consider perhaps an Oscar run or something like that. And they moved it into January, they say, to distance it from the Bette Midler World War II film For the Boys, which had Bette Midler in old age makeup reciting the events of her, backstory during World War II. That film didn't perform very well, and so they thought there might be a conflict.
Well, they do the same thing here.
Well, that's why they moved it.
Yeah, so it's one big flashback, essentially.
That's what I thought. Maybe it was a good idea. Yeah, maybe that distance is good.
Is that why they moved it? Fear of For the Boys? I don't know.
Was it a smart move?
Is that why you moved it out of Oscar season? I don't know.
I'm not saying anything.
I don't know.
I'm not saying
Did
anything.
it affect it when it came to Razzie season? I don't know.
Well, at the end of the day, in 1992, January is a dump month. And so that is very curious that they were releasing it at the end of January in 1992.
I'm not giving you a reaction because it would give away my thoughts. So
Nope.
just going to let it sit.
Domestically, this movie did 21.6, international 22.2, for a worldwide total of 43.8. It did okay. Like, this was not a, box office bomb by any stretch. Maybe an underperformer, but it did okay. It was number 38 for the year between Passenger 57, the Wesley Snipes film that everyone remembers the line, always bet on black. And also, it was one spot above A River Runs Through It, the Robert Redford film starring Brad Pitt about fly fishing.
One we all think of.
It's actually very well remembered. I would say River Runs Through It is actually a pretty well-known early Brad Pitt film.
Oh, okay. Fair. I've never seen it, but that doesn't... I mean, I also haven't seen The Omen, so what do I know?
There you go. The top three for the year. Number 1 was Aladdin. Number 2, The Bodyguard. And number 3, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
I do remember Aladdin.
That's a good lineup of films.
Is it? Is it?
I like Aladdin, I like The Bodyguard, and I like Home Alone 2.
It was during the Disney Golden Era. You had obviously Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Lion King, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So it's the
It's
peak.
the superior Home Alone film.
It is definitely not the superior Home Alone film.
It is the superior Home Alone film. I'm sorry.
In Scott's house, it is.
Oh boy.
Cam's not getting any turtle doves for Christmas this year, I'll tell you that.
Scott's taken a few too many bricks to the head, like the characters in Home Alone 2.
I am the pigeon lady.
He keeps throwing birdseed at me.
And The Bodyguard is a classic movie as well. It's been transferred onto the stage
Yeah.
and had a fantastic Broadway and West End run. So
I saw the West End version, and I loved the film, and we did the film on the Patreon.
There we
Both
go.
loved it
No,
too.
we didn't, Scott. It had a great soundtrack.
Okay. I loved it. He
Oh.
didn't.
Now,
you have no
Shining
taste.
for-
Listen, Bodyguard fans, I will always love you.
Now, I didn't really know the kind of the reception to this movie when I sat down to watch it last night.
No.
I watched the film, took all my notes, and then afterwards jumped on the computer to write up, all my kind of research for the film. And that's not often the order I do things. I usually do the research first. But in this case, I was kind of surprised at how this was a Razzie Awards runaway freight train of a film. This won the Razzie for Worst Film, beating out movies like The Bodyguard, Christopher Columbus, The Discovery, Final Analysis, and Newsies. It won Worst Actress, beating out Whitney Houston for The Bodyguard, Kim Basinger for Cool World, Lorraine Bracco for Medicine Man, and Sean Young for Love Crimes. And also Worst Director for David Seltzer, beating out John Glenn for Christopher Columbus, The Discovery. former guest on SpyHards.
God.
Hello. Danny DeVito for Hoffa, Barry Levinson for Toys, and Kenny Ortega for Newsies. I personally probably would have given the award to Barry Levinson for Toys, but I didn't realize that like Shining Through was like literally like just like the movie of the year at the Razzies.
I posted about it on social media earlier today, and the comments are basically all Razzies, 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 as if that is the film's legacy. And I think it might. That's probably all it's known for.
Yeah, Michael Douglas was nominated but lost to Stallone for Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
A classic.
That's a great film.
Well, you're telling me Stop or My Mom Will Shoot didn't make the Worst Picture nominations?
What?
I shout out to supporter of the show, SpyHards 1985, who sent us a screenshot of the Razzies book entry about this. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there is one comment that I do find that it did make me laugh.
Mhm.
Do you mind if I read it out?
Go for it.
So it's in the fun footnotes section, and I'll read it verbatim. I might put a voice on for Melanie Griffith. While doing publicity for the film, Melanie Griffith responded to a reporter's question about the Holocaust, saying, "Wow, 6 million, that's a lot of people."
Oh boy. That sounds like a line from the film.
You don't say.
Which led us to wonder, is Shining Through what happens when you hold a flashlight up to one of Miss Griffith's ears?
Ooh.
That's harsh. Oh my God.
That's harsh.
It's pretty funny. That's a pretty airheaded response to the question.
That is
Melanie.
not great. Not great. That is not PR training.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
I suppose when you're put on the spot like that, you haven't got much time to think, have you? So it's kind of whatever comes to mind first.
Yeah,
But
you do a World War II film that has Jewish people in it. There's going to be the odd question. I think you would maybe slightly be prepared for that.
you probably would, yeah, at the end of the day. Yeah, for sure.
These are the days, though, of great celebrity interviews. Not like everyone nowadays who's thoroughly PR trained. Like, watch an interview with Dwayne Johnson, and it's like he's had all those questions in advance, and they are machine tooled to perfection in terms of the answers.
Oh, to that question, anyone now would just say, yes, it was a very sad thing. But we've learned.
And they would have statistics.
Yeah, we've learned from that experience and moved on. Whereas, yeah, back in the day, it would very much be like your knee-jerk reaction, that sort of thing. But yeah, today, everyone's kind of PR'd up to the hilt. So.
Yeah. And so this also was nominated for Worst Screenplay as well and lost to Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. So, wow. It was also featured in the official Razzie Movie Guide, which you just referenced there, Scott, as one of the top 100 most enjoyably bad movies ever made.
Someone referred to it online as the best worst picture winner.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's it. Even though, its legacy may be in the Razzies, but it's still, I mean, I had a great time watching it.
Hey. Hold it up. You're teasing us with a review there. Come on, Becca. Cam's almost there.
I'm sorry. Well, no, even though, it's still, I would agree with that review. That even though it's bad, it's enjoyable.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I do apologize.
It's okay. So, David Seltzer, who's a name who's not really that well known nowadays, after Shining Through, I think it was a bit of a hit to his career, but he did go on to write 1998's My Giant, the Billy Crystal film, and 2002's Dragonfly for Kevin Costner. And he directed the kind of very little seen 2001 drama Nobody's Baby, starring Gary Oldman and Skeet Ulrich. I haven't seen it, but that's kind of like the last kind of major film he directs.
So, director jail.
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, this is a big Hollywood production
Splashy
here.
Hollywood production, yeah.
Yeah, and not a lot of those after this.
Yeah, okay.
How can I help you today?
Hey, I need to talk about my loan.
No problem.
So I got the email. Sandy Spring Bank is becoming...
Atlantic Union Bank. That's right.
And will you still be...
Your banker? Of course.
More branches and ATMs?
Way more.
Still community-driven?
Still live here, still give here.
Mobile app?
Easy. Everything right at your fingertips.
And what about my business?
Always here to help you reach your goals.
Sandy Spring Bank is becoming Atlantic Union Bank, October 2025. Same bankers you love with even more to offer.
When the flu is keeping you up at night, don't try to tough it out. Knock out your flu symptoms with NyQuil Intense Flu. You got this. It provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms so you can sleep well through the night. NyQuil Intense Flu. The nighttime sniffling, aching, fever, best sleep with a flu medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Well then, we're here. We've set the table. Everyone seems to hate this film, but maybe they haven't watched it in a while. Let's find out. We're discovering it all. We're united for the first time. Becca, you're our guest. You're up first. You've teased us. Unleash. What do you think of Shining Through?
Yeah, so from the outset, this film has a lot going for it. Great cast, as I say, Michael Douglas, Melanie Griffith, obviously Hitchcock connection to be Hedren there, Jodie Richardson, acting legend John Gielgud, who obviously was in Secret Agent many moons ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you catch that, Scott? John Gielgud?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, on the stage. I think it was maybe perhaps one of his last roles. I'm not too sure. Let's see who else. Liam Neeson, who is criminally underused. And yeah, as Scott pointed out, we're also chatting off air. As a year or so before he would do Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a breakout role and a big sort of landmark role for him as well. It looks beautiful, shot cinematography by, I can't pronounce his name, so apologies, Jan de Bont, obviously who's famous cinematographer before he became a director.
That's right. Yeah, director of Speed and Twister. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So it looks beautiful, shot really beautifully. It's lit really well as well. In terms of the score, who did the music? Sorry, I can't remember. Let's have a look.
Michael Kamen.
Oh, there we go. Of course, yeah. So beautiful, Michael Kamen score, definitely. Although it kind of sounds different to what he was putting out at the time. It's still this really really evocative kind of score as well. A lot of the music, I feel, does a lot of the heavy lifting. It's very kind of atmospheric, but it's still a really beautiful score, I thought. So yeah, unfortunately, it does fall down in terms of the writing. Yeah, some of the dialogue is slightly dire. I kind of feel that the two leads maybe don't have that much chemistry. I'm not quite sure.
How dare
I know.
you?
I do apologise.
What are you saying?
But apart from that, so I enjoyed very much the look of it. I mean, great performances, definitely. I don't think it was deserving of all its Razzies. But I still had a great time. It looked beautiful, sound beautiful. Really great set pieces, and as you said, they went to they shot obviously after the fall of the wall, and they got to use kind of lots of real life locations as well, so it wasn't all kind of like on the backlot studio. We spend very very little time in this in the backlot there, and a lot of time spent in kind of like sort of London, Berlin, which is incredible to see. So yeah, it looks beautiful, but I would just say, yeah, there's perhaps, but just for me, on my one time, I'll probably go away and watch it again and be like, oh, actually, no, I was wrong, and rethink my opinion. But otherwise, yeah, it's a charming love story, definitely. The trailer kind of makes it out to be very almost like Casablanca-esque kind of style with, the sort of fedora hats and, and just that kind of whole look of it, definitely. But yeah, they do try. They give it a good go. It's sort of very romantic as well.
But like through all that, through all like the ups and downs, holistically, did you enjoy it?
I had a good time watching it overall, definitely. And there are some kind of spy elements as well. There's also kind of like secret notes, espionage, going behind enemy lines, double agents. Obviously, there's the plot involving the uncovering of the factory where they make V1, V2 rockets, things like that. Unfortunately mention of like Nazism and things like getting to where the inner workings of the party, real life figures from history are mentioned. Despite its flaws, I did have a good time watching it. It was enjoyable. I probably would watch it again.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't like so bad that I'd be like, I'm never going to see it again.
All right.
But I'm glad that you guys brought it to my attention, because unfortunately, I'd sadly not heard of it before. It was a new one on me. So I'm glad to have been introduced to this film by you guys. So, but yeah, despite its flaws, I had a good time.
Okay.
Yeah, I would recommend.
That was like a tentative, but I'll give it that. Okay, so there's three of us. That's one thumbs up, I suppose, as it goes. We'll get to the knock list later. We'll tackle that in a bit. But I want to go last.
Oh, I want to hear you next, but okay.
Oh, dear, I feel bad now. I feel really guilty. I'm like, oh.
No, guests always go first. I think I have a suspicion. and I want to go last. Cam, go.
Okay, so as I said, I went into this without any sense of its reputation, or at least kind of the Razzies hoopla around it. And let's be honest, the Razzies don't reward the worst movies of the year. They've never have. They pick the ones that are the most star-studded and the noisiest in some way and take aim at those. So, was this the worst movie of 1992? No. I'm sure if you go down the list, there's many things far worse than shining through. And I was also watching it, I was really admiring like the film craft. This is a time period where even if you made a quote-unquote bad movie, it still looked great. Like, it looked like a professional production with big stars, and you might have silly dialogue or something, but you go, you know what? This looks like a real movie. Whereas, like, I'll sit through something nowadays, which is like a $180 million movie, like, I don't know, Captain America Brave New World, that looks like film students trying to make a public access television show.
Ouch.
It's like, what the hell is this? This is, like, just completely unprofessional looking filmmaking. And
Watch out, Cam's going Red Hulk, everyone. Stand by.
we are. Rawr.
He's ripping off a shirt.
But it's like,
Oh no, put it back on. Put it back on.
but it's like, it's embarrassing that they would put a movie out like that and be like, this passes as a professional product in the marketplace. I look at a movie like this and I go, you know what? I don't think it's very good. I don't think it's very good at all. I think it has a lot of problems, endless problems. But I found myself kind of just like engaged with it just on a pure film craft level. And I was sitting there watching this romance between two frozen people and going, oh, there's no heat. There's no heat whatsoever. This isn't clicking. Michael Douglas seems to be like 1 foot out the door through every scene. That's not great. And there's a lot of, so this is kind of a little bit of a tangent, but it kind of explains how I feel about the movie as a whole in terms of the experience of watching it. So a while back, years ago, my sister's then boyfriend, we kind of had a gag thing where we would give each other like bad movies or questionable movies we found in bargain bins at Christmas, for example, right? And he gave me this Winona Ryder box set of movies like Autumn in New York, Great Balls of Fire, and a film called 1969, which is a coming-of-age film set in, obviously, 1969, but it was made in the 80s, starring Kiefer Sutherland, Robert Downey Jr., and Winona Ryder. And I watched it. It's not good. And you never for a second ever believe this was a movie that took place in 1969. It is the most 80s thing you've ever watched. And sitting through this movie, I never believed I was in World War II at all. Like, it felt so 90s in every aspect that I never felt kind of the immersion in a different time period, the way I did in another subpar World War II film, The Good German, which Steven Soderbergh made with George Clooney and Cate Blanchett and Tobey Maguire. Not a good movie, but I believe every second of it that I'm watching characters who live in the world of World War II. This movie never pulled that off for me, and so that's a big problem.
I don't feel so bad now.
Well, here's the twist.
Scott loved it. No.
I absolutely loved this film.
Oh
Hurrah,
my god.
hurrah.
I genuinely did.
Oh, something horrible is shining through.
I'm blinded by the light. Do you know, like, first of all, I wrote down. Actually, I got to the end of the film. I wrote this down, but I thought it was a nice title. People should rename this to Spy-tanic.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is the lady at the beginning and the end. If you have to explain the joke, it's not funny, Scott. But I didn't know about the history either. So, Cam, we were on the same wavelength there. I didn't know anything about the Razzies. I didn't know anything about that. I just, I had heard a couple of rumbles about a 2-star review from Roger Ebert.
Sure.
And that was it. But I have not always had, in Simpatica reviews as him. And so I started watching this film. I'm like, okay, I like Melanie Griffith. I like Michael Douglas. I like Gielgud. I like a lot of the cast. I don't know much about the director. And I was just captivated by it. I didn't look at my phone once the entire 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Oh my god.
I was like, I was completely bought into this film. I got a bit teary at the end.
Are you serious?
I was like, I genuinely did. Cam's
losing his mind right now. He's like, what the hell?
All these people all these people online that are like, oh, Razzies, Razzies, Razzies. I now have no stock in the Razzies because of this. If this is the film they wanted to take aim at, I think that's absolute BS. I'm sure I'll go and find some worse films in '92 and submit it to them posthumously, I suppose.
Toys is
But,
worse. Toys is definitely worse.
Okay, I trust you on that. Toys is worse. No,
And
okay.
Toys had Robin Williams.
I mean, okay. Is it 100% perfect? No, I will concede several things I don't think it does particularly well. I do think that there is, personally, I think there is a bit of a spark between Griffiths and Douglas.
Okay, I just want to have a note out there to all SpyHards listeners.
Okay.
Everyone. If you ever see in the future a social media post that says something like, "We saw a lot of value in Shining Through. What do you think?" I am not part of that equation. I am absent from this. I did not co-sign that tweet or Facebook post. Please remove me from it.
It's okay. I'll just say me and Becca saw some stuff in Shining Through, and Cam is just uneducated. No. I'm conceding. I'm conceding. There are some issues. I think the runtime is probably a bit too long. I think it lacks in energy towards the end. But like, I was following her story. I was so happy that there was like a female-led film in this sort of era that's a spy story, and it's actually just not about her shagging her way through.
True.
People always go like good spy stories. Oh, Red Sparrow or Ava or like Atomic Blonde. It's all about them just sex as a weapon, which is a weapon they use, but this is none of that.
That's true, so especially because like the 90s was an era of these kind of like sexually charged erotic thrillers. So it probably could have easily been that, but with a World War II setting. So no, definitely, yeah, that was one of the reasons I sort of liked it as well. You know, kind of female-led sort of action thriller. But yeah, I kind of feel like I'm in the middle of you guys. You're both the kind of own ones, and I'm kind of like, yeah, there was good and there was bad.
You can be the buffer. You can be the buffer
zone.
Because apparently me and Cam are going to get divorced at the end of this episode.
Oh,
so that's fine. You can help. You can help with the divorce.
I don't want to be known as the person who brought SpyHards down.
Let's blame Michael Douglas and Melanie Griffiths. Why not? But like, I think I agree with everyone in the good points. Though I think like cinematography is just top notch, and I felt like I was there because they were shooting on location. I think the sets were great. I think the costume design was fantastic. I really enjoyed the score. Let's get into it though. Let's talk about likes because I think we've all got things to celebrate. Becca, something you want to highlight as something you really liked about the film?
I was going to say, I was off the back of your comment about sort of the film craft, or movie making sort of craft. Cam, definitely. It was really shot beautifully. It looks wonderful. There's some really great kind of like, it's been about a week since I saw it, unfortunately. But part way through, there's a really great kind of like match cut, which is beautifully done. I just like the way it's lit as well. Lighting is really, really effective as well. I can't really speak to one moment in the film. Maybe like the party scene is also quite funny, where you know she's meant to be this cook, and she was taught how to cook sort of like Berliner style food. It turns out she can't cook, so she serves the soup cold. No,
the duck.
The soup's warm. And the
soup's warm and the doves are cold. That was it. Yeah, they're meant to serve cold soup.
The dove. It wasn't duck. It was dove.
It was dove. That was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and yeah.
Someone said duck later, and I was confused.
I heard dove. I heard dove every time, and I was confused about that because they were plucking what looked like a pigeon.
So I wrote actually doves as well in my notes, and then it was a scene much later. Someone referred to it, and I could have sworn they said duck, and so then I got confused and actually rewrote it as duck.
Well, let's be fair. The two words sound similar, and it really is a trivial point. It's just the bird was not cooked very well.
But the line.
Okay, Cam wants to... Is this why he hates the
film?
film?
It's a terrible lead performance. It's the ducks we serve cold. And it's like, oh my god. Oh my god.
Well, I thought, she did kind of quite well considering she was trying to do an accent and also an accent with, sort of a sort of Berlin accent, which can be quite difficult. To master.
Yeah, Cam.
I mean, I'm not sort of a native speaker myself. We can all have a go and try and do one. In that regard.
I'm not tackling a German accent on this episode. I may have already caused half the people to stop listening at this point, so I don't want to get rid of another third.
No.
What about you, Cam? Something you want to celebrate about the film?
Well, like to me, it is entirely in terms of the work that went into creating a setting.
Mm-hmm.
As much as like the actors never feel like they exist in World War II, a lot of work is being done in terms of creating locations that feel like it. You know, you look at the train station, for example, where John Gielgud, where she goes to meet him.
Huge train station. That must be a real place.
And a lot of extras, like extras all over the place in German uniforms. And it felt like this is a grand production. You know, nowadays they would CG half of it, and you would see that gloss to it. It just wouldn't quite look right. It's that uncanny valley thing. But here, even though like this is kind of a just pure pot boiler of a film, there was genuine effort being put into creating a world for it. And even things like just the look of Michael Douglas's apartment or house that he lives in, you have the camera like gliding up the stairs towards the bedroom in the big love scene. And I'm like, this is ambitious camera work. And there's a few of those. You know, Becca mentioned the cinematography. That's where I actually was like the most enthusiastic. There's a shot of the camera like gliding over the audience at the opera. And I was like, holy smokes. Like, they would never do this in, you know, like a kind of like, you know, book adaptation that's kind of being presented as something of a, you know, B-movie star vehicle. Like, they would just never do that nowadays. And if you could feel the effort.
No, sort of scene that you don't really see.
Yeah. And like some POV camera stuff in handheld when like the Germans come in and are investigating towards the end of the film, I was going, wow, like there is genuine, interesting choices being made on a visual level. And that is the director working with Jan de Bont. And Jan de Bont, you know, before this had done The Hunt for Red October. He did Black Rain with Michael Douglas and also did Die Hard. And so this is an incredibly accomplished person, but feels like they're pushing themselves to also like create something really visually dynamic. And so it's hard. Like, I'd like to say that like, you know, there was something else different than what Becca said, but honestly, that was what I really honed in on. That's what entertained me through the course of the movie, was like how professional it looked.
Now, there's a scene towards the end where there's a bomb goes off, obviously during the air raids, and that's kind of that's probably a trailer worthy moment. And yeah, in that moment you do kind of feel like there's really good, as you say, Cam, as a POV shot, and you kind of feel like you're there in that moment. Well, certainly I did anyway. But yeah, because the sort of two leads I felt didn't do that for me, I found myself being lost in other aspects of the film, like more visual kind of elements. So yeah, sorry about that.
Well, no, like there's that shot you mentioned, like the bomb raid, and you have like the zebra running down the street, and I'm like, that is a like haunting image that they created, and it sticks with you. Like, I think it's incredibly well made and incredibly well shot, that sequence. And so it's like, you know, for me, the central drama just completely fell flat through the entirety of the film. But that happens with lots of SpyHards movies. Scott, we've tackled no shortage of movies where they were just dead on arrival, and we were kind of like, well, what did we like? Scans notes. The end credits look nice. The font, you know, like there's just nothing there. Whereas here,
unless you're me and you actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, yes, but that's been often the case. And here, there was plenty of filmcraft stuff that I could appreciate. And, you know, there's a lot of homages to Hitchcock. There's some Notorious stuff mixed in here as well.
Bit of Casablanca.
Yeah, definitely Casablanca. But
Casablanca vibes.
It does feel like behind the scenes, they were like, if we are going to pay homage to these types of movies, we need to try to look as good, if not better, than some of them.
It's interesting because like a couple of other films in my notes that I came up with similarities were, firstly, and a film that almost also famously bombed, which was Hanover Street by Peter Hyams.
Yeah,
in the 70s. Again, a romantic spy thriller during World War II.
Is that the Harrison Ford film?
That's the one. And Leslie Ann Down, I think, is the female love interest in that one. And, you know, again, it's sort of a sort of soapy romance that doesn't quite land, and the script isn't quite right, but it looks great. I think this looks better. And I think another film that we tackled, I think, last year was the Zemeckis film Allied.
Yeah.
Which, again, sort of took a punt at this sort of thing. And I think we were pretty hot on that, but I don't think it was... Did it make the knock list? I can't remember now.
It did, but not because I voted for it.
Oh.
Ah, okay.
Once again, Scott's lumping me in as we loved it. No, we didn't.
Well, okay, I've only got like 140 characters. Do you want me to write one host did, one host didn't? Could you guess who did? Actually, I'll tell you what. You do the social media for a month and then come crying to me. Jesus, gift horse, meat mouth.
Allied looks like $1 million for sure.
Yeah, I think this does too. And like as I say, like, the bombing sequence I think was fantastic. The dining sequence were really good. They yeah, I was going to mention the zebra shot. I thought that was great. But I think I mean, yeah, because it was a 30 million budget. I think that is basically all on the screen here, except for one thing I found in the trivia that I have not found a source for, but I found it interesting. Was apparently they built a big like building to blow up. It cost them like 50 odd thousand or 500,000 depending on where you read it. They blew it up and didn't film it.
Oh, what? So they spent all that money and then it didn't appear on camera.
Yeah, and even then, it still looked good.
Yes, despite that, it did still look pretty.
For me, I'm not going to talk about the chemistry. I'm not going to talk about the performances because I think I'm just going to get mocked out of the building. So what I will say I think worked is I think this film did a good job of keeping this pace going for most part and ramping up the tension. I did get a sense that the walls were closing in on Melanie Griffith towards the end. I mean, she was sort of like
the world's worst spy.
No, we've seen worse spies, I would say.
Have we? Not many.
I mean, I would blame the kit from the OSS for that bag falling apart. I mean, that's got the worst latch in the world on that bag.
Yeah, there wasn't a very good spy handbag, was it? Definitely.
What about the fighting the woman for a fish?
She didn't want to get caught. She was like emotionally invested, man. She's had no training. What do you want? If anything, it's more of a realistic depiction of someone chucked into the field than say like Cary Grant in North by Northwest. Like it's someone who has no training and is therefore not very good.
This is a movie that depends entirely on contrivance and coincidence for the character to make it to the end of the film.
Which is fine. And if you suspend your disbelief.
Well, I can't.
It's really, yeah, it showed a bit of realism, compared to those sort of films.
A movie that's evoking the Holocaust, I don't go, well, you know what, I'm just going to pretend it's all a fantasy.
If you're going to play that card and I can't talk about this, like that's actually, I mean, it's funny, but like,
What I mean is like the movie's telling you very serious things and grounding in incredibly serious subject matter and then having things happen straight out of a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Okay. I don't think that was the intent. And I didn't read it that way, I have to say. It didn't hit me like that.
You weren't laughing your head off when she was running down the street in the dress at the end of the film?
She was in Berlin.
Yeah.
Nope.
Or what about Michael Douglas, who's apparently done years of spy missions, holding up a card that says, I can't speak?
I think he was desperate because he loved her.
No, he's been doing this for years.
That was a bit lame, though, you must admit. Like, how many times has that worked for him in the past?
If I'm being critical, and this is one of my critical notes, but I'm not in that section, Cam, is that, the master spy who is trying to take down Germany can't speak any German.
Yes.
Like that, yeah, that's a bit silly. Sure. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's Looney Tunes, and I think that's just a soapy romance.
There's a real tough juggling act for me between the soapiness and the real world stuff.
Sure. Well, for me, I think that the tension worked for the most part. I think like there were a couple of scenes you might want to point out as a bit silly. That's fine. I think it kind of falls down at the end when they're at the Switzerland border, and they just sort of let him go.
Yeah,
that's a bit odd. He just shoots his way out, but hey, it's a big action film, I guess. At the end, whatever.
Well shot. Like that sequence where
Looked
he does
great.
take down
Yeah,
Wolf
it looks
Collar.
great, definitely.
Wolf Collar from Raiders of the Lost Ark and many other
Yep.
spy films we've tackled. You know what? If you're going to have a pulpy shootout stabathon in a small office, well done.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like I can't like say anything that I like about it because I'm just getting like told off for it. But like,
No, please. The audience wants to hear it.
I haven't said anything, seriously.
No, I'm talking to Cam specifically. It's interesting because we've not really been at loggerheads for a long time about a film, so we've not had to experience this in quite a long time. We're usually in simpatico or somewhat adjacent at best.
Yeah, you are.
And I for me, like holistically, one thing I struggle with a lot of the films we tackle is I'm not that invested in it, and I watch it and I'm like almost like a passenger throughout. Maybe it was the right timing. Maybe I was just in the mood for it. But this film actually just kind of swept me away. Like it took me along with it, and I wasn't sitting around going, "Oh, that's a bit ludicrous," or "That's a bit weird." Like I just kind of went, "Okay, this is the situation I'm presented with," and I liked the performances, and I think it looked $1 million, and so I was like, "Yeah, this is a pretty good film." Like I could sit around saying all the other things I love, but I might be the only one who does. That's fine. Like we famously spoke about Ishtar and both hated it, despite it going through this like regeneration process over the last 30 years. Maybe this is me going through the regeneration process of shining through.
Someone has to. Someone has to carry the torch for shining through. You have to shine through the fog and amass everyone behind you.
And so now this seems like a redundant question, but does anyone else have any likes they want to discuss?
Becca?
Well, I don't know. It's one of those old Hollywood tropes, isn't it? They just say, who's it? Is it Robert Keyes? I can never remember the guy's name. I think he said like Casablanca was like a terrible film because it was one big flashback, essentially. And it's probably one of those tropes that they say, you know, don't, if you can avoid it, use another way to tell your story. But I think considering this is one big flashback, it's actually done quite well. I would probably say, you're quite right, Scott. There's even though there's two and a bit hours, you could kind of maybe sort of shave 15 minutes off there. But in terms of like the pacing, it does kind of move along quite quickly. It didn't, for me, like I really felt kind of none of it sort of dragged really. But yeah, I was going to say it's probably one of the things, despite it being one big flashback, actually kind of worked out quite well. Maybe you could have done with like a little bit more makeup to make it age a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oh yes, the classic 90s old people makeup.
This is a definitely it's and obviously makeup has moved a long way since the 90s, definitely.
I have one final like, if you'd like us.
Go on then.
Hold on, I'll put a pin in that one. I was going to say, just in terms of the makeup stuff, I a positive and a negative about it. I thought it was really hilarious when Michael Douglas showed up at the end looking like Peter Bogdanovich. That made me laugh.
He did a little bit. I was thinking, who does he remind me of?
Yeah, that definitely got a big laugh out of me. But it did have one thing I thought was really smart, which is the way that she started conveying the story in German. And then he was like, hold on, and she said, oh, I'm sorry, I remember it in German. And the way they use that as a way to
change the language.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that can be really awkward. And we've seen examples where it just kind of like fades it, like the audio, and it's always kind of awkward. I feel like when Valkyrie did it, it was awkward. Here, I actually thought that was an effective little technique.
I was going to bring that up as one of my other likes, is the fact that it does a sort of Red October thing of helping you shift the language, which I think is really smart, because she would be speaking in German. I don't know how fluent Melanie Griffith is in German, but I think it's a lot easier for her to speak English.
Yeah.
Well, the final like I have before I drift us over to the dislikes is, and I'm surprised Cam doesn't like this film more for this very reason, is that Melanie Griffith's character is basically us. She's seen every World War II and World War I spy film, and she is constantly referencing them. You see espionage agent come up. I only wrote that one down, but there are several that are mentioned throughout, and a couple of which we have spoken about or reviewed.
Yeah, the one she's watching at the movies was Mortal Storm with Jimmy Stewart. She also mentions a Jimmy Cagney film. I can't remember the name of it. It had a number in it. But that is something I did appreciate, because usually when you have a character who is someone who's a fan of movies, they are referencing really obvious movies. And
like Casablanca.
Sure, like Casablanca. Or I watched like the new Kevin Smith film, the 4:30 movie, the other day, which is not very good. But the lead character is just referencing movies like, I don't remember specifically, but it's things like Back to the Future, for example. And other characters say, you know so much about movies. And I kind of like roll my eyes. Whereas like here, Melanie Griffith is citing films like Espionage Agent that are not well remembered. They are
really obscure titles.
Yeah, and I saw someone mention in their dislike of this movie online said she's only citing fake movies. She's not. It's just they're not movies that people know.
Which makes me wonder if either Susan Isaacs or David Seltzer is a big spy movie buff, because they're pulling this out of somewhere.
It's got to be the author, right?
I don't know. She could. I mean, there's more of a romance in that book, so maybe it's a bit
of both. I don't know when they were adapting.
I don't know. I mean, maybe there were films that were made up, and then Seltzer put real films in.
Or it would have. I wonder if it would also been contingent on the studio rights. They're not going to necessarily pull films that they don't have the rights to, so that could have been it as well.
That could be the truth, but I'm just happy that if Linda Voss was a real person, she would definitely be a SpyHards listener, and even to the SpyHards specials.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Agent, we don't expect you to talk. We expect you to buy a subscription to our Patreon.
Yee. That's right. Over on the SpyHards Patreon, we're covering all your favorite spy TV shows, as well as popular films from the most iconic secret agent actors of all time.
Cam, why don't you share some intel on our latest assignment?
Well, Scott, November is Robert Redford month, and so we are going to take a look at 2 films, hits in their day, but perhaps now a little under the radar. First up, we are going to tackle the 1980 prison drama Brubaker, based on true events, starring, of course, Robert Redford and Yaphet Kotto. Will this gritty 1980 drama leave us feeling arrested, or will it just feel like punishment? Tune in and find out.
So deactivate Ghost Protocol and visit patreon.com/spyhards to truly do things angel style.
But before we close Channel D, on with the Spy Jinx.
Lowe's knows that saving is always top of mind, especially this season. That's why we've picked some great deals for early Black Friday. Get free select DeWalt, Cobalt, or Craftsman tools when you buy a select battery or combo kit. More tools? Why not? Plus, we've got select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees starting at $59.98 because it's never too early to think Christmas. Get Black Friday prices without the crowds. Lowe's, we help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
Okay, I'm guessing this is Cam's favorite section of this episode.
Oh, geez.
It's time for the dislikes. So why don't you lead us off, Cam?
Oh boy, where to narrow it down?
Allow me to talk.
I feel like I'm going to kind of blend a couple things together here, but this is a movie that's 2 hours, 15 minutes. That's a reasonable amount of screen time to work with. And yet I felt like every single relationship in the movie was just like glossed over. It had no depth whatsoever. There is sort of allusions to kind of like romantic inklings between her and Liam Neeson. Never explored with any depth.
No.
Her relationship with the children. Never explored with any depth. And I feel like ultimately she would have been completely ratted out because all it would take would be Liam Neeson saying to the kids, "Hey kids, what'd you do today?" "Oh, we went and wandered around an old building in Berlin for like 2 hours." Excuse me, Nanny, why were you doing that? Like, there's so many examples of that sort of thing happening that drove me crazy. But, like, that applies to the Michael Douglas romance. And also, there's the character of Marguerite, played by Jolie Richardson, who I think at that time would have been Liam Neeson's sister-in-law, because he was married to Natasha Richardson. Her and Melanie Griffith meet, and we get a voiceover saying, "We were like sisters." It's like, well, how about showing us that, not telling us that? And ultimately that's there to make you feel something when you get this very like kind of silly twist at the end of her being the big bad. And none of that worked. But like I just felt like so much of this movie just depended on very silly soap opera stuff that did not work. It felt like overblown to a certain degree. And because the relationships weren't cemented well, I was just watching the like cranking sounds of a script having to make twists happen because nothing was organically happening.
I'd probably push back on some bits, but I think the thing we could both agree on there is the Neeson character. I think that gets really shortchanged because he's meant to be really the antagonist for the second half of the film.
He's really bland as a character.
Yeah, she just sort of wanders off and gets away. Like there's never any. He doesn't even chase her. She just gets away.
Yeah, I mean, and her espionage skills are not good. She's really obvious in what she's doing, and I would assume he's someone who's pretty high ranking. He seems to be, and she's just like rummaging through cupboards and things like that pretty loudly. And these are old houses. They're not quiet. They're not quiet at all. And so it's entirely up to the screenplay.
Cam is a rummager, everyone. We found out. Cam is a late night rummager.
In old houses, I've learned the lessons.
He likes a good rummage around your old house.
But I just felt like it makes him look dumb if they're showing her be very obvious and clumsy. And so in terms of being an antagonist, it doesn't make him look like a very good one.
No, I think that's one. I said there were things I didn't like. I think that is part of it. I think there's like there's a lack of pressure on her character in that sort of final stage, and the twist of the Marguerite character. Like I did feel like I saw that a mile off.
Yeah,
and when it happened, I was just like, okay. And then, like, I genuinely thought for once I thought for 1 second because like me and Becca had a brief exchange on text before that I watched this film, which had slightly tempered my opinion of it.
Oh,
As
I'm
it, like,
sorry.
It might... No, it's fine. As it might be like slightly bad.
Mm.
And so throughout this film, I was waiting for like the penny to drop, like for it to be bad, and I didn't quite achieve that. But there was a moment when she's fighting Marguerite, and the Nazis turn up. And there's a balcony, and off the side there's like quite a big drop and like a small little fountain in the middle of it. And the Nazis storm in, and she's not there. I'm like, there's no fucking way they're gonna tell me this film she jumped off, landed in the paddling pool at the bottom, and ran off.
That's the wrong way.
Is that where the twist is in this film? It becomes ludicrous. No, it wasn't. She actually went down the laundry chute. That kind of makes sense because she's she's sort of a downstairs worker in an upstairs world. But so I understand why she would know where that is. But yeah, like I did think that was going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with the Liam Neeson thing. I think that is shortchanged for sure.
Yeah. It was actually surprising to me that he was such a underwritten character, because I thought like Liam Neeson, he's not, Schindler's List hasn't happened yet, but he starred in Darkman. He has been a leading man before in hit films. I was surprised he was kind of given such a nothing.
Yeah, you think there'd be like a twist at some point.
Yes.
Like he's on to her, and she even says in the voiceover, it was around then he was on to me. I didn't know that yet. But you never really see him on to her.
No. Or to make him feel conflicted, or her conflicted in some way, about maybe her feeling like a bond with his kids, but you never really get any of that, or a bond with him.
Or like, they go out for the opera.
Yeah.
And she spots someone who she was introduced to earlier with a different name and a different upbringing. And that kind of gives it away to Liam Neeson's character that her story is deceitful. One of the two stories is incorrect, or perhaps both. And yet he goes out for the rest of the night with her, goes home, and instead of confronting her, goes, "It's too late to talk, time to go to bed." Which, of course, gives her perfect time to go and find all the stolen plans.
Yes, that's very accurate, yes.
Yeah. I do get that as a bit of a silly contrivance. You could have done it a different way, where he like pressured her and she gave a story, and then when he was off calling the Gestapo, she was down there getting the things, and then it all like you get a climax out of that.
I also like that he carries a suitcase around with top secret plans hanging out of it.
Well, maybe he's not a very good Nazi.
I mean, clearly not.
If she's a rubbish spy, then he's a rubbish Nazi. So
yeah. You never know. Becca, is there something you want to talk about that you haven't already, or you want to talk about a little bit more that you thought didn't work with the film?
No, I think we pretty much covered it, unfortunately. Yeah, and Liam Neeson, I mean, as you say, his kind of big breakout really hadn't happened just yet, but he'd had a few good titles under his belt. Criminally underused. I mean, they could have maybe given the role to Wolf Carler, who we'll see later on in the film, and then given the Wolf Carler role to somebody else. Because I was kind of surprised. I was looking at the cast list, and I was surprised to see him, and I thought, oh, great. And he's got this very minor role where he's on screen for 5 seconds, and it's like, oh, okay. So maybe they could have swapped roles there or given it to somebody else. I think for me the big fall down was I just didn't get any sort of chemistry really between the two leads, which is really a little bit unfair, unfortunately. Performances kind of on their own were great, but I just didn't really find them believable as a sort of a couple. And yeah, those are two kind of really big standouts for me, definitely. Also, I kind of feel like obviously the subplot of her finding finding out more about her sort of Jewish heritage and finding her cousins who were unfortunately abducted. I kind of felt that was a little bit underserved and undercooked slightly. I would like to find out more about that and that to be developed a little bit more. But I think there was a lot. It was already quite a busy film. There's quite a lot going on, and then to have that kind of like B plot kind of just sort of thrown in, I guess maybe would have perhaps been too much kind of going on there. And I kind of felt like that was a bit of a sort of undercurrent really that just wasn't quite as well developed as perhaps I'd liked it to have been. But yeah, that was kind of the major ones for me, which you guys have mentioned already. So
I'm just trying to think about Michael Douglas for a second.
Yeah.
Because he's someone, like, when you think of him with on-screen romances, they're either of the very, like, steamy variety, like a Basic Instinct or a Fatal Attraction kind of thing, right? Where there's a real carnal quality to them. Mm-hmm. Or it's something that's, like, very kind of comedic and kind of sexy, like I think of Romancing the Stone. Has he ever, like, really succeeded in, like, earnest, old-fashioned, sweeping romance. Because that's what they're trying for here. It obviously worked for Scott better than for, me, or as Becca's saying. But I feel like that's not necessarily a strength of his. He's really much better when he's playing like an asshole, which he does at one point here where he shows up with another woman and he's really cold towards her. I'm like, that's the Douglas specialty there. But when you have him as kind of more of a, kind of sincere, earnest romantic lead, I'm struggling at the moment to think of examples where that was something he really did well.
What are you talking about? The chemistry with him and Michelle Pfeiffer and Ant-Man Quantumania is just grounded in realism.
That's very much a fantastical type movie, though, isn't it? I mean, yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Yeah, when he's doing like straight up drama, is he kind of better in maybe sort of sexy, steamy roles, or more like, I don't know. I wonder if that's got a lot to do with it. Actually, that's a good call. Good call.
I did think, though, as I finished, The American President, which I haven't seen, it was very acclaimed, but that's also Aaron Sorkin dialogue. So I feel like that helps you a lot as an actor.
I mean, he really loves money in Wall Street.
He does. He loves that money, and it's very sincere.
Greed is good, as he says.
I don't really have any like major things to add in the dislike section, but one thing I picked up on, and I noted it down, is, and this kind of came from my research of the film afterwards, because I didn't know it was an adaptation really at the time. It might have been in the credits and I didn't see it, but this feels like a script and a story that is very much chopped down. Like they're trying to fit a few like B plots in there. You've got the sort of Jewish family that are hiding in Berlin, a couple other bits and bobs, things going on back home at the same time, the Marguerite subplot, all kinds of things going on in the background. The kids, Liam Neeson, and it doesn't really have enough time to do everything service. And so I'm guessing they tried to get everything in, but maybe it would have been wiser to cut one of the stories out.
Well, they actually slashed, I think, huge chunks of the book. Like, there's a whole other love interest that she's with. I can't remember if they're married or just together. A guy named John. Before like she even meets the Michael Douglas character. So like there are various elements of the book that are just completely stripped out, and they obviously, like, that's always going to happen, or it should happen, I think, in an adaptation. Nowadays we exist in a world where you can't cut anything from a book or else people get upset online.
Well, this would be like a 6-hour TV miniseries, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. But in this case they obviously were like, okay, the focus of the film is her going undercover as a spy in Berlin. That's our story. Let's build around that.
Well, final notes before we get to the knock list. I've got a couple of things. If there's anything left you haven't mentioned, Becca, feel free to chuck it in as well. I'll let you mull on that, Becca. But Cam, I'll go to you.
Okay, a question for the room: opera or Chaplin?
Oh, it's Chaplin.
Chaplin all the way.
It's got to be Chaplin. Like I have been to an opera and I did almost fall asleep.
What is your Chaplin go-to pick?
Oh God, you're asking me. Scott.
You're asking me if I've seen any Chaplin films. I'm just choosing Chaplin over opera.
Oh, okay. Like there's not a specific movie?
Well, it's got to be either Modern Times or The Gold Rush for me, definitely.
I just know how bad like opera can be. Like I
Sure.
would take a root canal over going back to the opera.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm with Becca on Modern Times, and I would say Great Dictator as well is my other
Oh,
go-to.
yes, that's a good choice as well. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
might be the only Chaplin film I've ever seen.
Great Dictator?
Yeah.
Yeah. City Lights is really good. Gold Rush, yeah, there's a few, but Modern Times is probably my favorite.
I had a follow-up question as well. If you want to do the question round, Cam.
Oh, go for it.
We get to see one of the world's most disgusting meals in this film, which is a completely burnt but uncooked bird.
Yep.
And so I was curious for the room, what's the worst meal you've ever had?
Oh dear. Bear in mind, you guys have just had your dinner.
Oh, it's gone down now. It's fine. I'll start to let everyone think about it. I'll start. This is a real it's one of those where you go around to your friend's house and your friend's trying out food and they're not the greatest of cooks and you want to eat the food to appear nice. And they cooked it's some sort of pasta dish with, I think, mushrooms in it, and a marinara sauce. Is it marinara? What's the white sauce? I can't remember. But like, not marinara, it's red. But whatever the white sauce is.
Oh, the white Alfredo?
Sure. But it basically the color of the mushroom mixed with the sauce and basically colored the entire meal. And so what I ended up eating was a very grey bowl of gloop.
Ugh.
And it didn't taste of anything and looked like melted brain.
Ugh.
And I had to eat the whole thing because I didn't want to offend my friend. And I've never had to hold back a gag so hard in my life.
Okay, that's awful. Mine is actually related to pasta, but it's a little bit of a different situation.
Sure.
There's been lots of times where I had to eat things I don't like. I'm just like kind of a bit of a picky eater in general. So there's been, I don't like cooked vegetables, for example. And I remember times where I'd eat cooked carrots. Not a fan, but that's not what I'm going to pick.
Cam likes it raw, baby.
It was actually when I was young and I was sent to day camp, and it was a YMCA day camp. And there was a night where it was like a sleepover, and they were going to make us dinner. And they said, we're going to make you spaghetti.
Great.
And what they made was spaghetti with ketchup.
Ugh.
Oh, no.
It was noodles and ketchup mixed together.
It was
What?
noodles. It wasn't even spaghetti.
It wasn't even spaghetti.
It
Oh
was,
my god.
spaghetti noodles. Spaghetti noodles mixed with ketchup.
That's not how you make spaghetti, though.
And so I did not eat the ketchup variant. I just ate the noodles by themselves, as did my sister.
Is that an MCU thing? Is that like a multiverse thing? You didn't eat
Yeah.
a ketchup variant? Get out of here, Kang. We don't have the ketchup variants in here.
Right. And so my sister and I just had the undressed noodles by themselves, but it was a very sad, pathetic dinner.
Undressed Noodle, another one of the actors in this film.
Yeah, there you go.
Becca, do you have a meal to chuck in?
Not necessarily. Well, there was one, but it was made by a relative of mine, so I won't mention it. But yeah, not so much. Not so much a meal. Yeah, a few of us from JBR, we did a jaunt to Vienna a few years ago. In one of the restaurants, I think they've since had a refurb and maybe a change of ownership. I'm not too sure.
They might have needed it by the sounds of it.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it was quite a fairly largest group of us. So we got there, you know. I think the food was late. It was really poor service, and obviously, myself being vegetarian, I sort of had can only pick from certain items on the menu, that sort of thing. They often didn't have it, and I think by the end they were just bringing out meals and giving them to anybody. And I had like this kind of half-cooked rib dish or whatever it was. I didn't eat it. It looked disgusting, and they were like, "Oh, you eat it, you eat it." I was like, "Well, no, I'm not." So it was just the whole experience. I mean, the company was delightful, but the restaurant itself was just very chaotic, very disorganized. Ambient music sounded a bit weird. I think it was maybe from a video game, and it was all kind of very mean and moody, and not kind of quite what we had in mind at all. But yeah, the company was great, location in Vienna was beautiful, but yeah, that particular restaurant was not ideal really. So yeah,
it just goes to show that setting is important. I think Cam and I had a meal when we did our tour of the Grand Canyon in a restaurant there, and I don't know if Cam remembers the meal, but it was one of the like blandest like chicken burgers I think I've ever had in my life. And like the company was great, but the setting was like, it felt like it was something out of the 1990s, and the service was really atrocious. The server did not want to talk to us. I mean, okay, maybe it was because 8 people wanted separate checks, but it was not a fun time.
now that caused a bit of a headache as well.
I do not have the same memories of that event. I was like,
Oh,
it's
okay.
fine. It was fine.
Well, that just Cam did say he has like no taste, so
That's
which
true.
is probably why he doesn't like this film.
That's true.
Oh no!
I actually have a question for you, Scott. When
Yeah.
I come to visit you next time,
Mhm.
and you are going to be a turncoat and turn me in, are you going to go out to a phone box and then give me an evil stare through the window?
If we still had phone boxes, I would.
I love that as the reveal of the friend as villain of them.
Yeah, she's actually a double agent. Oh.
And like it zooms in as well,
Yeah.
like, oh,
yeah.
And
got me.
she comes back in and she's like, I was pretending to call. It's like, oh really?
Who's that working on? Maybe Cam.
Yeah, well,
Well, okay. Cam, do you have any more final notes for us?
no, not really. John
Okay.
Gielgud, nice to see him. I did like when
Yeah.
Melanie Griffith showed up. He's like, "Go away."
Go away. Get out
Go
of here.
away.
You'll kill us all. Which is apparently probably how people think about this film. I also just wanted to shout out, it was nice to hear the song is called Goodnight Sweetheart, I think, but the theme tune to the TV show Goodnight Sweetheart also played during this film. It's a classic war song.
Yes, I enjoyed that TV series as well, and I was like, oh, Good Night,
Yeah.
Sweetheart. I know that. So, yeah.
Fun show if you've ever watched it. If not, go check it out with Nicholas Lyndhurst. Bit of a weird premise. I don't think it would fly nowadays.
No, they couldn't get away with it today.
No.
But really cleverly done back in the day.
Well, Cam has never seen it. Let's pitch it to Cam. Good Night, Sweetheart. Right? Would this fly in the modern era? Here is the premise, Cam. A man in modern times. Let's just say modern times.
Yep.
He's got a best friend. He's got a business. I think it's like a junk shop, like a secondhand store, and a wife who he mostly hates. And then whilst he's at the back of his junk shop, he finds out that the wall of his shop at the back is a portal to World War II. And he goes through that portal and meets a girl who runs a bar and falls in love with her. And over the 4 or 5 seasons it runs for, he falls in love with her and has a baby, whilst he's still married to the woman back in the modern times and goes back and forth, trying to manage both relationships.
Waka waka waka.
Oh!
Yeah, it's a bit like that.
That's a choice.
Lads. Yeah, I don't think that would fly now.
That does not sound like a show that crossed the pond.
No.
I think it was like a late 90s, early noughties show. I just think the premise wouldn't fly now. Like a man just like cheating on his spouse for 5 seasons, and every other joke is like, "Oh, my wife." Oh.
Yeah, well, I mean, my wife. That's very Married with Children. But it never went that extra degree of time portals and women from the past.
I appreciate a high concept hatred of one's wife, I suppose.
I suppose so. It's an ambitious TV pitch in terms of its hatred.
Yeah. If you really want to hate your wife and get away with cheating, go back in time. That's how you do it.
Find yourself a TARDIS and hop back in time.
Interesting that it was World War II.
Yeah, I think they just had like a love for that era, and they do a good job of like kind of selling it. He ends up becoming like a spy, I think, or his cover is that he's a spy. And that's why he keeps disappearing for days on end to go back to the present time. So maybe there is a Good Night Sweetheart in your future. Maybe we will watch one of the episodes on the Patreon.
Where is he, like, in the portal? Where is he coming out in? Like, what location?
The same wall in 1941 or whatever it is.
So in Britain.
Is it in the pub?
In Britain. It's in London, yeah. It's
okay,
around
so
the corner from
he's
the
not
pub.
showing up in, like, France or something.
No, he's in England.
Okay, gotcha.
I think I might have just booked us a Good Night Sweetheart episode. I'm actually quite curious to see what you think of it now.
I might have to see if I can revisit the show again. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere. I don't know.
Well, okay. We're about to make a big recommendation here, and that is the knock list.
Knock list. Knock list. Knock list. The knock list. The knock list. Knock list. The knock list. Knock list. You need to pick a side.
Now, we're very divided on this film. Can we be united on a choice? We're going to find out. Becca, it's your first time on the show. Your first time voting for the knock list. No pressure.
Gosh.
But should Shining Through make the list of the best spy movies of all time?
Oh, God. I feel immense pressure, unfortunately.
I'm staring you
should.
down.
So
I'm
you
staring
should.
you down through the webcam.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Is that what you name your camera because your name is Cam?
Oh, that's a good one.
Webcam.
Oh, good shout.
Yeah.
Yes, he is webcam, definitely. No.
Wait, is that your Spider-Man name?
Oh, or my 1990s handle when I'm on the internet.
Yeah. AOL. Webcam at AOL.com.
AOL,
Yeah,
oh my God.
yeah.
That is very 90s, isn't it? I think I saved customer stay, and obviously we have to take emails for the receipts, and it was an AOL address, and I was like, I remember that. You know you're old when. So, actually, I might have to say no. It does not go on the knock list.
Why is that? Because, like, the knock list is, like, an essential list of spy films. And so, like, you want, like, a list of films you would give anyone who's new to the genre that represents kind of, if not the best, the most culturally important, or what have you. Like, what is it about this movie you don't think meets those criteria?
I don't know. I think maybe, like, Prestige. I mean, there is a lot going for it, to be honest. maybe I'm flip-flopping a little bit, unfortunately. So I might say yes. And there are, despite its Razzie kind of legacy, maybe that's a little bit unfounded. I mean, just for me personally, like the sort of romance aspect didn't really work. But outside of that, I mean, yeah, the script may be a bit wonky in points, but it also has its good moments as well. There's some good lines. But for me, in terms of, I would say, like, it's the music, it's cinematography, it's the lighting, it's the pacing, it's everything else goes into it. Granted, perhaps it's not a North by Northwest, it's not a 39 Steps, it's not a Casablanca, but it does kind of fly the flag for those kind of more obscure films that perhaps you might not have heard about. And it might make you want to go and seek out the original book, even though it's kind of very much been hacked to pieces for this film. So maybe I will. Yes, it does deserve its place on the knock list for its redeeming features.
Okay.
All right. Cam. This is risky business. We're entering into a strange territory now.
I feel good. I think I'm the people's favorite right now. And so I am just going to run for the hills screaming, no, 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 no.
Oh.
I'm removing the C from knock, and we just have no.
Of the no list.
The no list. C or Cam is running for the hills.
Well, we know what C stands for.
Well. Canny.
Careful.
It's interesting. I always write down my knock list choice on my piece of paper as like a way of committing to my choice. I wrote down no.
No, oh. I was right to begin with.
Interestingly, I thought I might say a yes because I thought Becca was going to go for no. But because now I have the power in my hands to put this on the knock list,
oh God,
which I rarely do in this situation. If it's a 3, I'm usually outvoted at this point. I usually don't have this sort of power, and I could wield it in a terrible way. I'm not going to do that. I acknowledge this film has issues. I acknowledge that maybe I was just in the right mood for it, and I've overlooked some of its issues. I had a genuinely good time with it. I do not think it deserves the legacy that it has. I think it has some good performances. A lot of money was spent on it, and I think a lot of people would tune into it now, especially if you didn't have the baggage of knowing about the Razzies or anything like that, and go, this is, comparatively to the schlock we're getting these days, this is a pretty good film. Maybe we've been ruined by modern films. I don't know.
Well, when you think about like the Razzies, I think of movies like Emoji Movie, Catwoman, Ballistic X versus Sever. Like, to me, there's a pretty big divide between something like this. Like, I don't think this is a good movie at all, but it's made at a level that is far more watchable than I think a lot of the bad movies the Razzies would pick a different year.
Yeah, and I had about as much fun watching this as I did The Man from U.N.C.L.E. film, which is usually my benchmark for like things that are good but don't quite make it. And I had problems with that film, and I do have a couple of problems with this film that we've discussed. So if you're asking me, do I think it deserves to be on the knock list, I'm going to go with no, ultimately, because I think if I have the power, I want to stop it from happening. I am glad of the three of us, it had a yes, and I urge people listening to this who haven't watched the film, maybe after this, if it's piqued your interest, go and give it a watch and make up your own mind, because I think people can tend to get led by online reviews, even just podcasts, and let that just be your opinion on it. This seems to be something that I would actually say go out and watch it and form your own opinion on. And if you think we're wrong of it not making the knock list, because it clearly won't, then let us know. But I don't think it deserves the legacy it has. And I think I'm glad that we are literally shining a light on this film this week. And I hope people do go out and check it out.
And I will note something too. Like, I'm obviously the person that liked it the least of this, 3-person jury here, assigning knock list induction or not. But if you go on like Letterboxd and start looking up Shining Through, this is not a movie plagued by 1/2 and 1-star reviews. No. It's lots of 2s, lots of 2.5s, some 3s, like definitely thrown in there. It's the kind of movie that's very watchable, and it comes down to whether you can get on board with it or whether, through my eyes, like the absurdities just completely pulled you out of it. But that is a big difference between something that's grating and genuinely unpleasant to sit through.
Also, I think one of the worst indictments you can say about a film is it's boring. I didn't find this boring.
I did at times. It got a little pacey, but like, there's a big difference to me between what this is doing and Scott. Like, think of some of the movies we've put on the Disavowed list. Think of the Section 31 Star Trek film. Like, it's atrocious. It's an atrocious work. I thought Men in Black 2 was really cynical and bad. Some of those Taken sequels, things like that. Speaking of Liam Neeson, there are things that are far worse out there. And to me, like, I'm not even raising the question. Obviously, I wouldn't with you two, obviously, if this makes the Disavowed. But even if you guys didn't like it, I don't think I would have even mentioned the Disavowed list.
No, I think it's too interesting. I think it's doing too much. There's too much money on the screen. And I think it has a heart to it. Whether that heart landed for you or no, in your case, Cam, and it did for me. I think it has heart. It is going for something. It just seemed to miss for a lot of people in '92, and has since missed for most people, and maybe hit for a few. But to the question of is it making the knock list? It's 1 yes and 2 no's, and as such, Shining Through is not making the knock list. The dossier on the film is complete and filed as classified, which leaves me with one final duty. And that is to thank you, Becca, for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I'm glad we could finally make it happen. 5 years of SpyHards, we thought, hey, why not bring it in? Let's do it.
Thank you
Let's
very
make
much.
it happen. Yes. If people want to find out more from you and here, check out your podcast. Where can they find you and your podcast online?
We are all across social media. If you just type in "Do you expect us to talk?" you can find us there. We generally live a lot on Twitter, X, at Expect Us to Talk. But if you head over to YouTube, type in "Do you expect us to talk?" you can find all our podcasts there. We're also on all the kind of major podcatchers, so Spotify, Podbean, Podbay. Wherever you get your podcasts, you're sure to find us. Just type in "Do you expect us to talk?" and you can find us on there.
And Becca, I will expose myself to be a complete hypocrite when I, if I pop up on your podcast doing Jaws 3, in which I turn into someone fawning over a truly terrible film. You can hold this episode against me.
No, it happens. It happens. I mean, we reviewed Die Another Day, definitely, and I'm sure in Hitchcock films, in our series that we're doing, some are greater than others. And I'll be like, oh, it's amazing, and then Chris and Dave will be like, oh, it's terrible, or something like that, for example. So no, that's fine. Yeah, we'll have to work out somehow how you guys can guest on ours when we get our butts in gear and we get up and running again. We'll have to make it happen. Talking about whichever you want to do. So
let's make it happen. But Becca, as I say, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Well, there you go, folks. That was Shining Through. It looks like it didn't quite shine a light onto the cold, cold heart of Cam the Provocateur.
Few things do.
It's frosty in there, folks.
We'll see if I am the people's champion this week or the people's enemy.
Well, you'll let us know. mail@spyhards.com. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? We want to hear your knock list take. Let us know. Should Shining Through made the list, or did we make the right call? Mail in. Thank you to Becca for joining us on the show. It's been a long time in the making. Glad to finally have you as part of the SpyHards family.
That's right. It's about time.
About time indeed. But, well, we mentioned at the top of the show, later this week, we're sitting down with the one and only Wolf Kayla. Look forward to that on Friday in your podcast feeds. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and leave us a lovely 5-star review so you get that podcast immediately on Friday morning when Cam hits that magic button and sends it worldwide.
Yes, make sure.
Wow, what an endorsement.
You're welcome.
I'm the one recording this at midnight. Cam is at like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. He's like, yeah, sure.
You were on such a flow. I was so hypnotized by your words that I was thrown off guard when you asked for a response from me.
Pure podcast gold. That's what we come to Cam for. Magic stuff. But speaking of magic stuff, that's Shining Through. Wolf Kayla later this week. What's next week, Cam?
We are jumping back to the 1950s to take a look at the Randolph Scott Western, The Stranger Wore a Gun, which falls into the Civil War spy genre, or subgenre perhaps, that has become kind of a point of curiosity for us.
Yeah, we seem to be somewhat fascinated by our Civil War spies.
Indeed.
A spy? Oh, who's that? I think we're just trying to be JW.
I think so, although I am saddened there is no spy film called A Spy on Whose Side.
Oh, we should write that. That should be our film.
Do you think it's copyrighted?
We're like tied to the legacy of J.W. Pepper. There's no way they could copyright a line.
Okay, good.
Coming soon to Tubi or Freevee here in the UK, which is just as bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, join us next week as we take spy movies into the third dimension, because this film is presented in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also presented entirely for free on YouTube.
And also Internet Archive as well, if you feel like wandering over there as opposed to YouTube. Less commercials, folks.
So yeah, grab your musket and your bag of popcorn and join us in the third dimension as we take a look at Stranger Wore a Gun. Will it be another knockless treat? There's only one way to find out.
Mm-hmm.
Saddle up. And thank you all for joining us here on SpyHards this week. And if you'd like to get more SpyHards in your ears, oozing everywhere, come and join us over on the Patreon. Our Patreon, of course, the only Patreon to be a member of, frankly. If you're wasting your money on someone else's Patreon, what are you doing? Think about your choices. And then come and spend your money here. Because you get this episode completely ad-free. And you've made it this far, so you've listened to most of the ads. So you've paid your dues. But next week's episode will be ad-free too. Plus, over 100 bonus episodes available, and we take care of all kinds of other spy nonsense. Spy television shows, we've got that on the Patreon. Films by your favorite spy movie actors, we've got that too. Come and find us over at patreon.com/spyhards. Drop us a few pounds or dollars or whatever currency you use once a month, and you get all this bonus stuff. It's less than a cup of coffee. And I like saying that because it helps contextualize how much it costs. And it ain't that much for the much that you get everywhere.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And that's Cam's firm endorsement. But come and join us over on our social media. Continue the conversation about Shining Through. If you're not going to write us an email, remember you can at mail@spyhards.com. I want to hear your thoughts on Shining Through. But you can find us at SpyHards, SpyHards, wherever you get your social media. But until next time, folks, you'll find me drafting tweets about how much Cam loved Shining Through.
Hey.
Hey, welcome into Walgreens.
Hi there.
Hey.
All right, hon, I'll grab the gift wrap, cards, and, those stuffed animals the girls want.
Great. And I'll grab the string lights and some... How about I grab some cough drops?
This is not just a quick trip to Walgreens.
I'm fine, honey.
Well, just in case. You know what they say. 'Tis the season.
This is help staying healthy through the holidays. Walgreens.
Did you know Tide has been upgraded to provide an even better clean in cold water? Tide is specifically designed to fight any stain you throw at it, even in cold. Butter? Yep. Chocolate ice cream? Sure thing. Barbecue sauce? Tide's got you covered. You don't need to use warm water. Additionally, Tide Pods let you confidently fight tough stains with new Coldzyme technology. Just remember, if it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide.
This podcast is part of Podomedy, the UK's podcast comedy network. Why not laugh at what else we've got? Visit podomedy.com.